But let's welcome in Amit Shah, Technical Research Analyst at Indiabulls Ventures, as well as Amar Singh, Head Advisory, Angel Broking. Good morning, gentlemen. Amit, I'll come to you first. Being the first day of the new series, what are the top calls that you have that investors should look at?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I think there's a lot of disturbance on the line. There's a lot of disturbance with the line.
Amit, we'll connect back with you as well, but till we get Amit back, Amar, let me come to you in the meantime. Amar, what will your top picks be for the new series?
Yeah, very good morning. The first topic which I have is ITC. What we are witnessing in ITC is that ITC has been in a consolidation, and if you look at this particular stock, this was one stock which really didn't participate much, but then if we look at the stock, it's breached its key resistance zone somewhere around 275, 282. That was a very key resistance zone for ITC. So the stock has broken out of that, and technically if I look at the charts, clearly reflecting that the trend has changed. Long-term trend definitely was up, but intermediate trend was trading sideways, so we've seen some bounce back from that. The only thing is we need to see that the stock sustains above 282, 83 levels, so that's an ideal level to buy with a stop loss of 276 and a target of 294 in the short term. Then the second stock to look at is TVS Motors. What we are witnessing in TVS Motors is that this stock has been on a relentless slide. If you look at it from all significant correction has happened in the stock, and currently it's around 522 odd levels or so. So somewhere the stock is finding strong support. So this is one stock one can look at because technically I would say it's taking very strong support around key support zones that's on the long-term charts, and also on the medium term and the short-term charts it is in oversold territory. So the possibility of a bounce back is there. So this stock is one can look at. So ideally the level to buy is around any dip towards 510, 515. That can be a good level to buy with a stop loss of 493 and a target of 547 in the short term. And the third stock to look at is Muthoot Finance. What we are witnessing in Muthoot Finance is that again this stock is strong on the long-term charts. Short-term charts also the stock seems to have bounced back and formed a bottom. Currently it's around 400 odd levels or so. So any pullback in this stock towards 385 levels, 385, 390, that ideally is a good level to buy with a stop loss of 377 and a target of 435 on the upside.
Right, so that's I think the take coming from Amar Singh here. Also, Ashish, what would be your top stock bets for today?
Yeah, so my first pick would be a long call on GAIL. I think Gas Authority of India Limited. This is one stock which has been continuously, sustaining near its 52-week highs. And if you look at in last 3 weeks, it has been consistently adding a lot of long open interest addition, clearly indicating stock is poised for a stronger up move. So in a shorter term, one can expect a target of 378, but eventually we believe stock is poised to cross its previous all-time high, which is around 385, 387 zone. For this, I think 362 should be kept as a trading stop loss. Arvind Limited is one stock which is looking very strong on charts. It's a strong double bottom on the weekly, monthly chart frame. We have seen a good support around 100-day moving average in the stock, and the kind of open interest addition and rollovers we have observed in Arvind, I think in August series we might see a stronger uptick coming in the stock. So with a stop below 425, Arvind Limited is a buy for an upside target of 455 levels. HDFC Limited, we have been maintaining a buy call, and I think yesterday stock has hit an all-time high zone. So I think at current levels also, it is showing a very strong build-up of positions. So keeping that in mind, 2000 should be kept as a trading stop loss. On upside to 2080 is a target we are expecting in next 2-3 trading sessions in HDFC Limited. And ITC, this is one stock, post results there, the way the OI addition has been seen, delivery volumes has been picking up. I think there is a clear breakout on the weekly and monthly charts above 286, 287. So keeping all that in mind, I think ITC could be a stock where you can see a good 4 to 5% kind of jump from current levels to 278 should be kept as a trading stop loss. On upside, 310 is a target we are expecting in ITC. And one stock in the cash segment is Endurance Technologies. I think the stock has been consolidating for many weeks in a range between 1200 to 1300, and we have seen a good breakout on weekly and monthly chart frame beyond this 1300 mark. So 1280 should be kept as a trading stop loss. In a very short term, one can expect a target of 1400, but positionally, the way the overall structure is panned out, I think 1480 could be the positional target in next 3 to 4 months in Endurance.
Let me say the names again, as again Ashish has given 5 calls there. So that's GAIL, Arvind, HDFC, ITC and Endurance. Again, all the 5 calls. Again, Ashish has a bullish view on all these stocks here. Amit Shah is back with us. Amit, what would be your top stock bets for today?
Yeah. See, overall, Bank Nifty has broken out about 27,200 yesterday. We had been anticipating this for some time now. So now that it has happened, my sense is now Bank Nifty will take a lead at least for a week or so. So the banking stocks, Bank Nifty, we expect Bank Nifty to test its all-time highs of 27,650 and possibly even breach on the upside. We expect a target of 28,000 to 28,200 on the Bank Nifty. So we'd like to remain from the banking space. So Federal Bank is something that we like from a trading perspective. One second. Yeah, so Federal Bank should head towards, it's been consolidating after the sharp up move, and now it should catch up, again on the upside towards the target of 97, 98 on the upside. So Federal Bank is looking good. Yes Bank, after the yesterday's result, has corrected, and generally stocks tends to react towards the, results. So I think, but it doesn't hamper the trend at all. And Yes Bank, I think, may not even breach yesterday's low of 358. So Yes Bank still looks a very good buy, and it shows a lot of promise and has a lot of potential on the upside. Amongst the PSU banks, SBI looks one of the top picks. It has held out very well even on the long-term charts. Near term also, it's trying to break out from its consolidation. So SBI also looks good. So basically, we would like to remain in the banking space for some time now.
Right. Thanks, Amar, for getting us all your topics from the banking space as well. Amar, coming to you with regards to the banking counters, anything that's looking interesting, like for example, if you have the HDFC Twins, SBI, ICICI, all of these counters have really participated in yesterday's rally of trade. Anything that still looks interesting where, the uptrend could continue and could be good buy calls?
Yeah, I would say that ICICI is one stock one can look at, because this stock, if you look at it, it was trading in a range on the 260 on the downside, and again to 300 on the upside. So it somewhat is forming a bottom, that is definitely seen. But what needs to be watched out is that if it consistently sustains above 280 odd levels, because that was an early resistance level, so that's been taken out. Long term, the charts are, I would say, still positive. So any pullback in this stock can be used as a buying opportunity. So ideally, 280, 283 can be a good level to buy ICICI with a stop loss. The stop loss needs to be below 275, and a target can be 300 on the upside, because the stock is showing some signs of bottoming out, and also some positive momentum is building in this counter.
That's how ICICI Bank is looking on the charts. But Ashish, couple of stocks in PSU banks are looking quite interesting. Syndicate Bank, very high rollovers here. If you again are taking a look at like Oriental Bank, again very sluggish performance yesterday, but rollovers are very high. But these are just two names. Anything else, these or anything else which you like in the PSU banking space?
So Piyush, here I would like to notice one thing, that if you look at the broader trend of these names, most of these stocks have seen a very sharp correction over a period of last 1 year or so. Maybe some stock has eroded even 50% kind of wealth in the last 1 year. So now in the July series, in last 1 week particularly, we have seen a very strong base building happening in these names, and some have seen a stronger pullback. So it would have risen maybe from 5% to 10% or 12% kind of upside. But generally we have observed that whenever this kind, after a fall of almost 40-50%, and if the stock creates a good base and sees a recovery, that recovery is little longer. So we expect these stocks to show a better, stronger outperformance, but definitely more from a pullback perspective.
Does that mean all 40% or it's 10 to 20%?
So I think from these levels, I'll not be surprised to see 10-15% kind of upside in these names.
Which could be the stocks that you could
so I
watch out
think
for?
those who have fallen the most, they will see the sharper pullback. So we need to do that homework. But last time also I said that if I have to pick within the PSU bank, Canara Bank is one stock which I like, and I think the way the overall OI addition has happened in Canara Bank, I'll not be surprised to see this stock hitting 300 kind of mark in days to come. SBI, I think definitely in the large cap PSU bank, this is one stock which has been holding a very strong gain. So I think here you might see a move towards 300, 305 levels. So I think if I have to pick between the large and the mid cap company, SBI and Canara Bank would be my preferred bet.
Okay, and what's your take on Reliance Industries? Again, another stock, heavyweight, results today. Post market, again, that's the most important thing, but still we did not see any sort of let off in terms of open interest addition. The stock did not even actually breach 1100 in the last week also. We are in the consolidation phase here. So what's your take on Reliance?
So broader trend is very positive. No signs of any distribution is being seen there. Now we need to see results, but definitely a post results, if the stock doesn't break 1080 levels, that will be considered as a very positive sign. And if that happens, and if you see a crossover beyond 1120, then I think a recovery towards 1160, 1180 kind of levels could not be ruled out. And positionally we have been maintaining a target of 1200 odd zone in Reliance. So I think result could be a good trigger, and for that I think 1080 should be kept as an important control point, where we see that if the stock breaches 1080, then I think there can be some profit booking, or market is not liking the result. But I think 1080 is a very crucial point of control for Reliance.
So 1080 again, that's the level to watch here, but 1120 is what again Ashish is saying, that is being crossed, then perhaps some strong sort of addition could come in the counter here. Amar, what's your view on Reliance Industries, heavyweight? Are you also bullish in a similar sort of pattern?
Yeah, overall looking at Reliance, I would say it continues to be one of the strongest charts. So there is no doubt that technically the stock is very strong. And also if you look at the last few days in Reliance, what we are witnessing is that on the upside 1138, which was the recent high. So the stock is showing some signs of, I would say, consolidation after the sharp rally from almost 960 odd levels. So clearly that is a good sign. We'll have to watch out for the results, how it comes out. But yes, any dip can be used as a buying opportunity until as the results are extremely variant as to the expectations. And on the downside, I would say 1070 to 1080, that's a very strong support zone. So ideally the stock, if the stock is to rally, then it should not breach that level, or even if it breaches, it should be for a very intraday basis, and then it should bounce back. Because technically, yes, the stock is indicating that any dip towards these levels should ideally be used as a buying opportunity till the time we don't see a reversal of trend, which is not there on the charts right now.
And Amit, let me take your vote also on RIL. What are the charts telling you?
Sure. So, well, last time I was on your channel, I was very bullish, and I continue to remain bullish because it's not just for the short term, but the broader trend, the longer term trend is in favor of Reliance. It has broken out of multi-year consolidation, probably 9 years of consolidation, and that too, it has broken out late into the bull market. So it has more legs to go on the upside. We have a broader view for Reliance on the upside of 1500. Yes, and immediately I would agree with these guys that around 1060, 70 is the support zone for the Reliance. My sense is, even if you get a knee-jerk kind of a reaction in the result, I would still qualify that as a buy. One can actually utilize those dips to go long into the stock. That could be that. A little bit of the result could be the trigger for the entry point into the stock, but continue to remain very bullish on Reliance Industries. It's been actually one of the top picks for the markets right now.
Right, so that's with regards to Reliance Industries as well. Ashish, coming to you with regards to the pharma pace, Dr. Reddy's has seen a sharp up move post earnings. Biocon has also reported strong set of numbers in trade. What's the setup looking like, and do you think the formation is really strong where you could see that uptrend to continue?
So I'll not say that formation is very strong, but one thing is for sure, the stocks have seen a very hard beating in last couple of days, and particularly Dr. Reddy's, which has been falling since almost 2800 off late from in June 2017, and now almost 2132. So it has formed some kind of base around this 2000 odd zone, and if these 2050 levels are not broken, I think that Dr. Reddy's can see a good pullback towards 2300, 2350. But one need to understand it's more from a pullback perspective, as the stock has seen a very sharp cut, and for that I think 2050 is an important support, and if it breaks 2050, then again I think the stock might enter into a negative territory. But looking into the chart pattern, looking into the data, it seems like 2050 is going to be a very crucial support for Dr. Reddy's. As far as Biocon is concerned, I think this is one stock which has seen some profit booking from its previous all-time high and has been seeing some correction for last couple of few weeks, but now near a very strong support zone which is around 540, 550 levels. So I think if 540, 550 levels is not broken, it might consolidate in a range between 550 to 575, and once the stock crosses 575, then I think it will qualify for a stronger uptick from these levels.
Right, so that's with regards to Biocon and DRL. But with this, Maruti is another one to focus on as well. Very inversely to a Dr. Reddy's, we've seen a sharp uptick ahead of earnings, and yesterday we did see a correction of almost 4% post earnings. Amar, what's your call with regards to where Maruti is concerned?
Yeah, I would say that Maruti seems to have formed a short-term top. So that is clearly there in place, because the way the stock has cracked, and also if you look at the chart pattern on the daily charts, it clearly shows that there was a spinning top. So clearly that reflects that there is some very strong resistance around that level. And if you look at the chart technically also, so 10,000 was a psychological mark, and this was a level. If you look at it, this level was somewhere reached in December last year. So clearly that was a resistance. Long-term charts definitely look positive, but I would say that it seems that the stock is now going into a consolidation zone. If I look at it technically, then somewhere in the region of 9200, that should act as an immediate level of support for the stock. So now the stock has gone in some consolidation, and there could be some bounce back, but breaching the recent highs does not seem very likely in the short term.
Right, so that's the bias coming here. Amar, another word again, how do you like M&M Finance and Repco Home Finance? Again, both the stocks, they both were adding long positions, some good volumes again were being seen the last 3 hours of the trade. In fact, they closed at days high. M&M Finance almost 5% up yesterday. So both stocks, what's your view from the charts?
Yeah, talking about M&M Finance, what we're seeing is that technically the stock is very strong on the long-term charts. There's no doubt about it. Even the intermediate term trend to a certain extent is positive. But what we are witnessing in the intermediate term trend is that somewhere the stock has a very strong resistance around 530, 540 levels. So I would say that the stock is likely to consolidate with a positive bias. So what it effectively means is that any dip can be used as a buying opportunity in this stock. No doubt, very crucial, strong support for the stock coming around 450, 460 zone, because that was the recent low somewhere. So I would say that yes, the stock is in positive, has a positive bias. So any pullback can be used as a buying opportunity, but the stock is likely to consolidate till the time it consistently does not breach 530, 535 levels on the upside. I would say the stock remains consolidated.
Right, so the stock does remain consolidated with regards to M&M Finance as well. Ashish, coming to you, what's your call with regards to where L&T is concerned? Because we did see a drop, though the numbers were really strong as well. What's the setup looking like, and what does the chart indicate?
So last quarter also, when the result came in, the stock made an intraday high of 1420, and since then it has been seeing a correction. Again, this time in last 2 weeks, it has seen a very good recovery from 1220 to almost 1340. But on results, again, we saw some profit booking. So that's a general, trend which we are observing in Reliance, but in L&T. But definitely, if you look at on the weekly and the monthly chart frame, 1250 is a very crucial support for L&T, and I don't think that we are going to see a breach below 1250. So if you consider that, I think the risk reward is favorable. Although I'm not expecting the stock to do a very strong up move in a shorter term, but those who are looking for a little medium to long term entry point, I think this is a good entry point with 1250 as a stop loss, and slowly and steadily stock might eventually cross 1400 1420 mark, but it will take its own course of time.
Right, so it will take its own course of time with regards to where L&T is concerned as well. But let's quickly slip into a short break, then we track the pre-open trade as well as the reopen. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Dealing Room. Moving on, a couple of counters that have reported earnings in yesterday's session. Tata Coffee, a weak set of numbers that was reported. Amit, coming to you, what is your call with regards to where Tata Coffee is concerned?
Sure. It's quite a weak trend, I would say. There's not much of momentum going. It's been making lower tops and lower bottoms. So I would actually avoid this counter for any fresh positions. The broader trend supports are at it's quite far, but in the near term, 105, 106 is the zone where some support may kick in. But it's a near term weak stock, and one should be avoiding such stocks at least for the near term gains.
The view coming from Amit here. Ashish, quickly, I think we still have 1.5 minutes to go. Quest Corp, strong results, 19% growth in profit. Webco, again, 38% growth in profit. And another stock, again, Cholamandalam Finance, some very strong performance coming from that company. Again, the profit grew by almost 36%. So, some strong performance. But how are these stocks looking in the charts?
So, within these names, I think Quest Corp is looking very interesting because a very positive surprise on the revenue front. A marginal disappointment from the consensus in terms of PAT. But I think if you look at technicals, very, very strong support around 1050, 1060 zone. And if these levels are not broken, I see a possibility of Quest Corp hitting 1250, 1230, 1250, 1270 zone in next couple of trading sessions. So for that, I think 1050 should be kept as an trading stop loss. Chola, again, a very positive results again, and this is what is being reflected in technical charts also. 1500 is a very crucial support for Chola, and I think if these levels are not broken, I see a strong possibility of Chola crossing 1650, 1680 mark.
Very quickly, I still have 40 seconds to Shriram Transport Finance, more upside or perhaps some consolidation is required?
No, I think some consolidation is definitely possible, but uptake is definitely possible because after a very sharp cut from 1500 to almost 1100, there is a V-shaped recovery which we have observed in Shriram Transport. So I think eventually the stock might cross the previous recent highs, which is around 1500 odd zone. But for that, I think 1380 is a key support which should not be broken. So it might consolidate, but eventually 1380 should not be broken.
Right, so that's what Shriram Transport. Petronet, LNG also will be in focus on the back of numbers. Profits have gone up by 12%. Margins have also improved somewhere around. Apart from that, SL Propack, a pretty mixed set of numbers that have been reported. So watch out for that counter in trade, as well as a Container Corp of India and Jubilant Industries on the back of earnings that will be in focus. But let's quickly look at the pre-open rates. 11,238 is what Nifty 50 is indicating. 37,624. Let's quickly pull up ITC right now and see what that stock is doing on the back of earnings. Biocon, that will be in focus as well on the way earnings have panned out. 1.5% higher with regards to where ITC is concerned. Biocon as well, a strong set of numbers that have been reported. 3.5% up move coming in with regards to where Biocon is concerned. Bharti Airtel as well. If we could just put that up, Reliance Industries ahead of numbers is up almost 1.5% in trade. ICICI Bank as well as HCL Tech, that will be in focus as well. HDFC Bank, let's quickly pull up both these twins as well to see if this uptrend is expected to here to stay as well. Apart from that, HDFC Bank is showing an uptrend of around 2%. SBI as well is going to be in focus in today's day of trade. HCL Tech ahead of numbers in focus as well. Apart from that, Petronet LNG on the back of earnings. Let's see what that stock is indicating right now. But Reliance is showing an up move of almost 1.5%. ITC showing an uptrend as well after earnings. Biocon is showing an uptick of around 3.5% on the back of earnings. Tata Coffee is expected to see a downward tick on the back of a slightly weak set of numbers that have been reported. Margins have taken a hit as well. 3.5% lower over there. Tinplate Company of India as well on the back of earnings. Quest Corp indicating a pretty flattish start. Piyush, overall the trend is seeming pretty much positive. You have heavyweights also which are showing pretty much an uptick right now.
I think we have to see the PSU banks also here. Again, Banknifty again should be starting with on a good note here. ITC responding to volume growth. SBI, bring Bank of India, Bank of Baroda. Results are today for Bank of Baroda. PNB again. Bank of India again, some good long build up yesterday. So that's a BOB. So starting note is looking good. Syndicate Bank. Another sort of good rollovers. Again, how's that stock performing? Yesterday again, some long positions were being taken in that counter. Oriental Bank, no performance yesterday, sluggish trade, but rollovers are good. So Oriental Bank still a very sort of sluggish start is expected there. From there again, let's bring some private banks again once again on the screen. ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank, where again the press reports are talking about a QIP going to be launched. And that's going to be large size QIP. So again, HDFC Bank starting bias 2200 rupees being hit. Also ICICI Bank, again HDFC also was adding long position yesterday, so watch out for this counter. Axis Bank again about 200 DMA, so again another sort of positive start coming there. Broadly banks actually showing you some positive signs. Cholamandalam Finance, very strong results, and after that Shriram Transport Finance, a strong performance yesterday. So again Cholamandalam up 3%, Shriram Transport Finance again is there any consolidation but another 1% up, so again the stock is not stopping at all at present. M&M Financial, after good gains yesterday, today again is showing some sort of gains again being given up. Rapco Home again at present, no cues coming there. Let's once again call out for Reliance Industries. Let's see again how that stock is performing. Results are post market today. The starting note is almost 1.3% up, so that's the first bias again we are getting on Reliance Industries here. Apart from that, a couple of more stocks again where there was some good sort of action here. Hindalco, another stock, good sort of large size acquisition being announced finally. Again the market has been guessing about that. The stock is starting on a positive note, 0.3% up. So and then bring Bharti Airtel and Idea, the telecom stocks. Airtel results were being announced. Sharp drop in wireless, India Wireless ARPU. In fact, the EBIT now actually is basically looking less than interest cost here. The stock is starting on a flat note, and Idea, that's a surprise here. Idea again is starting almost on a 3% higher note here. So I think let's see how the actual rates open up when the market opens here. Rupee is opening roughly around 68-65, so no major sort of spike coming in rupee, or at present again the Qs are looking quite stable on that note here. Nifty on a starting note, and we could be crossing 11,200, so 11,221, 50-point higher opening is coming on the Nifty, and that's the sort of bullish news coming on the first day of August series here. Very high rollovers, very strong rollovers, materially higher than the last 6-month average, last 3-month average, and again we could be opening very strong on the first day of August series here. Bring also L&T Infotech, also L&T Finance Holdings. All the L&T group stocks, they have been doing relatively very well in the last few sessions here. So L&T starting on a 1% higher note. L&T Finance Holdings, L&T Infotech again almost down 0.8%. L&T Finance Holdings, bring that stock here. So starting on a flat note here. So again yesterday gave up towards the expiry gains. Last 2 hours again the stock was giving up its gains here. So today the bias again looks only in the L&T here. That's the bias again coming here. So that's the first sort of cues we are getting. Also bring Petronet LNG again, profit was up 12%. SL Propack, profit was up 20%. Also bring Webco and Quest Corp, again both the results were showing some strong double digit profit growth here. And now, and with that again basically once again we are seeing those stocks. Let's then go to Ashish for taking the views here. Petronet starting on a positive note, Webco again starting on a slight softer note, but still showing some recovery here. The results were good. Maybe we are going to see some good gains when the market opens up here. So that's the first sort of cues coming here. Ashish, looking at the cues, it looks like we're going to start on a very solid note. Sensex is showing almost 280 points of gain. Nifty is showing more than 60 points of gain. If this is what is going to happen, then the first question here is what our viewers should do on Bank Nifty and Nifty if they did not have positions. If they had positions, they would be rejoicing. But if they did not have positions, what the action should be here?
So, trend is very positive. Now, it will depend upon how the market opens up, but definitely, what we are expecting in terms of Nifty index is a move towards 11,250 to 11,300. If we open somewhere around 11,200, 210, then I think even at those levels, you can look for taking a long position with a stop below 11,140 for an immediate upside target of 11,300. As far as Bank Nifty is concerned, we expect Bank Nifty to cross 27,650 levels. So if we see a opening somewhere around 27,480, 27,500, then I think around those levels one can take a bet with a stop below 350 for an upside target of 27,650 kind of levels. Importantly, I think the important thing is that the trend is strongly positive. So I think even if it open up in a good gap up, so I think there you might see some kind of consolidation, but wait for a while, and I think we can take that call once we see how the opening starts.
Right, but do you expect any sort of profit booking at the opening?
I don't think
or
so.
That's not something one should venture out.
Because I think once it has consolidated for 6 months and crosses the previous all-time high, there will be some strong short covering, because there are a lot of shorts who have been putting their stop losses. Generally what they do is at an all-time high they'll keep 30, 40 points, 50 points higher than stop loss, and once that stop loss gets triggers, then I think there can be a strong short covering rally as well. Yes.
Right, Amar, what's your view now? Again, we waited for the pre-open cues, and now if I'm looking at the Bank Nifty and Nifty, that's giving us some positivity here. So what are the levels you'll be watching out, and if there is 50-60 point opening on the Nifty, what will the call for both Bank Nifty and Nifty?
Yeah, I would say that definitely the trend is positive, no doubt about it, and the trend has been gaining momentum and strength day by day. So clearly reflecting that any pullback should be used as a buying opportunity. But what I would suggest is that we should ideally wait for the first 15 minutes of the day, how the market really settles down and takes in all the news flows and the activities of the Asian markets. So yes, but any pullback can be used as a buying opportunity. The levels that one can watch out for is that somewhere on the downside, I would say 11,130, 140. That's a good support level. So ideally, one can look at buying around those levels if we see some positive momentum. Whereas on the upside, till the time 11,220, 225 on the upside is not taken out, we could see some selling pressure also coming in. But any dip can be used as a buying opportunity. So the trend definitely remains positive. Talking about Bank Nifty in particular, see Bank Nifty, if you look at Bank Nifty, the way Bank Nifty rallied yesterday primarily on the back of the PSU banks and also the momentum which we've seen in SBI and some of the other public sector banks. If that continues to hold, then I would say that there is further upside. And also what needs to be remembered is that earlier Bank Nifty was finding very strong resistance around 27,160, 170 zone, because that was the earlier high, somewhere around 27,164. So that has been taken out, closing above that level. So now that level becomes a very strong short-term support zone though. So 27,100 to 200, 150 to 200 should act as a very strong support zone. So any dip can be used as a buying around those levels. Whereas on the upside, I would say 27,650, 700 is what can be seen in Bank Nifty in the short term.
Right, that's the bias coming here. Very quickly, Ashish, quick question. ITC 5% up. That's the pre-open rate again telling me 300 rupees, 4.5% up. If this is the opening we're going to get, any actionable call at this level?
See, if you look at ITC's behavior, the last time it rallied from 268 to 300, the 350, that was also post results, and in just 5-7 trading sessions, the stock was up almost 20%. So I think it has been a serious underperformer for last many months, and I think if today you see a good gap up opening because of results, you might see a lot of short covering, as well as those who were awaiting for some good positive news flow to come in, and that will create a fresh buying interest in the stock. So I'll not be surprised to see this stock crossing eventually 310, 320 kind of zone. So I think even after gap up opening, there can be some knee-jerk reaction, but eventually now I think 286, 287 will act as an extremely important support for the stock.
Right, so the view is very clear. The rates are actually have stabilized, and we still have some 5 to 6 minutes to go here. Nifty is looking to open 65 points up, Bank Nifty 90 points up, mid cap index 0.3% up, small cap index 0.2% up. In a conclusion, it's looking like a very positive day for the bulls here. Amit, what's your view on Nifty and Bank Nifty, and what are the levels in terms of actionable sort of direction you want to take?
Sure. Yeah, so as we spoke, Bank Nifty continues to remain on a very, very positive note. We have a big target positionally of 28,000 to 28,200. So, but in the near term, Bank Nifty is likely to test its all-time highs of 27,650 or thereabouts. Yes, that zone of 27,180, 27,200 is now the support zone. But my sense is we may not even test those levels, because the way it has broken out with lot of strength, with wider participation, we may not even come and test those levels. So I think there's a lot of momentum catching up on the Bank Nifty. We may maybe in a session or two see 27,650 and even possibly breach it. So even some minor dips on the Bank Nifty should be utilized even by intraday traders. Something like 100 odd points kind of dip should also be bought, because it's a momentum going on for the Bank Nifty, and we may not actually even get larger dips for the Bank Nifty. View very, very positive.
Right, again that's the view coming from Amit. Again, as a consensus, I can clearly sense again all our guests actually are sounding bullish today, and you have a couple of stock picks coming from all our guests today at present. The top sort of stocks again which are actually looking to be gaining in the opening, that's Hindalco to the surprise, 3% up. That's a reaction again. It's looking like on the pre-open rates. Yes Bank 1% up, the recovery after the fall yesterday. Bajaj Finserv, YTC, Reliance, Ultratech Cement, these again are looking as the top gainers on the screen at present. We still have 2 minutes to go at present. Ashish, what's your view again? Now we actually talked about everything. What's your view but on the telecom stocks here? Bharti Airtel, after the results again were a positive surprise, but the operational numbers are not giving any sort of comfort here. So on the charts, what are the levels we should be looking at, and what's the direction you would like to take?
No, so I'll not take any trade on it, but definitely as far as levels are concerned, I think what is more crucial is 365 levels, which is important, last 2-3 weeks high, which clearly is a strong resistance point. And if you see a move beyond 365, then there can be some short covering rally which might eventually take place in Bharti Airtel, which can also take stock towards 380, 385 zone. But for that, 365 is a crucial support zone, crucial resistance point. On downside, I think 350 is a very important support point, and if we see a breakdown below 350, then I think a fresh round of weakness might eventually be seen in Bharti Airtel. So broadly the range is between 350 to 365 levels.
Right. Amar, very quickly, what's your view on the liquor stocks? Extreme high rollovers versus the last 6-month average. UBL is going to start 1% higher in today's trade. Any trade, any strength or any chance of rebound or recovery after a good correction in UBL or United Spirits do you see on the charts?
Yeah, I would say that what we're witnessing in UBL is particularly the stock seems to having formed a bottom, and the stock is long term. I would say the stock is positive, but still the stock really doesn't consistently trade above 1130, 1150 zone. I would say the stock could consolidate, but I would say that looking at the United Spirits, what we are seeing is that the stock seems to have formed very strong support around 550 odd levels, and the stock seems to be bouncing back from those levels. The trend, however, I would say remains positive from a long-term perspective. So I would say that on the upside, 590, 600, that's a level of resistance. So the stock is likely to trade in a zone.
Right, so that's the word coming here. Markets have opened up and we are at all-time high on Nifty and Sensex. There's a record high, another record high, and this time most importantly we are not flirting around a 10-point around record high. We have firmly basically pushed through. We are now, Nifty is trading above 11,200. That's actually the word coming on the screen at present. Sensex 200 points up, almost 200. Nifty again almost up 60 points, or around 11,200. So We have comfortably crossed 200 levels here. What are the stocks which are buzzing at present? Hindalco 7% up again, and that's something surprised. I think the street would be really getting surprised here. So it's a 7% up, thumbs up given to Hindalco by the street. This almost is a reversal again, what the correction we have seen since the time again the street has been buzzed with the rumors around the deal here. ITC almost 3% up, Vedanta 1% up, Tata Steel another 1% up, Bajaj Auto 1% up, some mild recovery happening there. Bharti Airtel after the results 1% up. Also again some buying coming into OMC, so IOC again another 1% up here. So today again it looks like there's a positive day for the IT stocks here. So SLTech also, Wipro also, some buying coming there. On the Banknifty again, which is at present up 60 points, slightly lower than what the pre-open dates were suggesting. Federal Bank 1% up, HDFC Bank, PNB, IDFC Bank, all those stocks actually are roughly up 1% here. Mid cap index 0.5% up, small cap index 0.2% up. So again small cap index at present is underperforming versus the large caps and mid caps here. What is buzzing the mid caps? Biocon again after results, good set of numbers, 3% up. Cholamandalam Finance, very strong growth in profits, up 2%. Bank of India, strong long build up yesterday. August rollovers again are looking good, 2% up. Nalco again yesterday, good addition in the cash market also. The stock is up 2%. Container Corporation, good sort of result reaction, 2% up. Also again from the small cap side again, we are actually looking stocks like Bombay Dyeing. Textiles has seen very high rollovers versus the last 6-month average in August month. Bombay Dyeing up 2%, Allahabad Bank 3% up, another PSU bank which is buzzing today, Astra Micro another 3% up. Now some stocks again where there is some interesting action happening in the derivative space here. To bring out again first, let's again see how the Endocount stock is doing, another textile stock here. From there again let's also look at Reliance Industries again. Let's bring again the results are today. It's a heavyweight. Yesterday again we initially saw some sort of action here. Bring Dr. Reddy's again, the stock is down 2%. There is another sort of infringement case being filed by AstraZeneca. But in terms of gaining stocks, so the stocks again which are gaining, and another surprise coming up, Idea again. The stock is up 5% here. Open interest addition just in the first 3 minutes is already touching 20%. So that's 20% open interest addition happening in Idea Cellular. IOB, the smaller sort of a PSU bank, the stock is up 4% at present. ITC is now almost 4% up, and some more banks, Granules, a follow-up move. The stock is finally able to cross 100 rupees now. It's a 3-figure stock now. The stock basically is seeing some open interest additions happening there, almost 3% up, and massive interest in open interest addition. Granules again. So watch out for this counter again. Some interesting action happening there. Reliance Capital, JSW Energy, another two stocks again where there is some interesting action happening. Allahabad Bank, 17% addition to open interest. So some very interesting action. Bosch again. So watch out for that stock. Good rollovers happening for the August series, and very high open interest addition happening at present. So Deep again is looking like a good start, and there are some interesting sort of gainers. The United Spirits also again, big counter on the screen. Remember, liquor has very high rollovers in August series versus last 6-month average. So United Spirits and UBL, both the stocks actually are starting with good gains here, and it's looking like a good trade for the markets. We are now touching almost 11,250. Good premiums on Nifty, almost 10 points.
Seems like after that initial cautiousness to get to 11,171, which was the previous high, now there's conviction coming in. So strong start, first day of August series. All three of your benchmarks as well as broader markets are participating. There's a couple of more stocks to highlight before we take guest calls. Biocon, earnings reaction, 47% jump in bottom line. That stock is up 3%. Cholamandalam, towards the end of trade yesterday, was also seeing a lot of positive traction. Shriram Transport, good earnings for this one as well, 2.5% up. JSW Energy coming out with the earnings today, doing well. Reliance Group stocks once again in focus. Reliance Capital, Reliance Communications seeing some positive traction. PSU banking names again leading from the front. They've had a good week so far, and today also seems like it could belong to them. And of course, you're also seeing participation from the likes of Tata Power reacting to its numbers yesterday. LIC Housing Finance, L&T Finance, TVS Motors, National Aluminium, Wockhardt, Godrej, as well as Berger Paints. Like you said, Piyush, high rollover for liquor stocks, also high rollover for paint stocks. So watch out for this space. But the momentum clearly with the large caps and the biggest of them all, HDFC Twins, RIL and ITC, contributing most to this 0.5% rise on the benchmark right now, Piyush.
Absolutely, I think that's the very interesting space here. HDFC, as you just mentioned. In fact, again, bring the paint stocks on the screen. Let's see again across the space, how is that looking? Bring Pidilite. Some sort of interesting action was happening the last 3 sessions, and then again let's bring Asian Paints again, where the stock again perhaps has been moving higher. Pidilite 0.5% up here, and also meanwhile as you're talking, Banknifty has crossed 500 levels. The futures again, the premium is increasing now slowly again. So perhaps worth watching for the next 15 minutes how actually the levels are being holded or not. But Ashish, first 5 minutes, Anything which is catching your attention? And secondly, some moderation Nifty from the highs, but the future premiums are expanding, and Bank Nifty future premiums are expanding. So any sort of trade which can be made, or any stock which are spotting?
Yeah, so two, one is, Cholamandalam Finance post results. I think there's a very positive reaction to the stock, and I believe that the kind of base building being witnessed in Cholamandalam Finance, I believe 1540 will now be a very crucial support, and if these levels are not broken, we expect the stock to cross the medium term resistance point, which is around 1650 levels, and eventually lead to a move towards the stock's previous all-time high, which is around 1750. So from current levels, I'll not be surprised to see at least 150, 170 rupees upside in Cholamandalam Finance, and for that I think 1540 should be kept as an trading stop loss. Even Muthoot Finance is showing a very strong strength, although the price volume action is not that significant enough, but I believe that the stock is offering a very strong risk reward at current levels. So with a stop below 400, I think Muthoot Finance has a potential to cross 430, 435 mark in a very short term.
Ashish, I want to do a follow-up with you. Shriram Transport Finance, I asked you before the market opening rates, the stock is just not falling actually. Another sort of good gains, 2% up, trading at days high. It's not looking like actually after the gains the stock is falling. In fact, it's coming back and now it's trading at days high.
Yeah, so we mentioned that the stock is poised for a move towards 1500 odd levels, which was the previous breakdown point. So I believe a move towards 1500 is what one can expect in Shriram Transport Finance, and we mentioned 1380 as a crucial support zone. I think that support level has been shifted because of the today's price action. So I believe now even 1400 will act as an extremely important support. So keep 1400 as a stop loss, and I think if those holding long positions should ride this trend towards 1480, 1500 zone.
Bank Nifty, Piyush, less than 150 points away from its record high as well. So you already had one on the Nifty after several attempts, 21st time this year for the Sensex, and now it looks like it's the turn of Bank Nifty. And with the HDFC Bank contributing and Kotak Mahindra Bank bouncing back, maybe you could see that today, although ICICI Bank is a little soft and maybe a little volatile ahead of its numbers. SBI saw a big rally in trade yesterday, not seeing much follow-on buying for the moment at least. But ITC, that's the one I want to focus on. Amar, I'll come to you first and then take Jay's call on it. ITC, previous breakouts have also found resistance at this 295, 300 levels. Has something changed for ITC this time around? Do you feel that it can hold above these levels? And if it does manage to do that, then are we likely to see fresh buying coming in and a bigger move on an ITC?
Yeah, overall looking at ITC, definitely it has broken out of a key consolidation zone, because if you look at the stock earlier, breaching the 285 290 level was a major task for ITC, and ITC used to succumb from those levels. But taking that level out, and even if I look at the short-term charts, it clearly indicates that every passing day the momentum has been increasing. So, what should ideally happen for the stock to really sustain and trade higher is that the stock should now not trade below 285, 286 level, because now that should act as a very strong support zone. The stock could go in for some consolidation. The short term and the intermediate term trend for ITC remains positive. Long term, what we are seeing is that on the monthly charts, it is showing some positive moment. But at the same time, I would say that it would now find slightly higher to trade to go up, the way it really rallied from almost 260 levels to 300 levels. So that was a steep rally. But now the stock would find somewhat difficult for the momentum to sustain, looking at the long-term charts. But I would say that still the bias is positive. So any pullback can be used as a buying opportunity. 285, 286 is a very strong support zone.
Jay, ITC first, what's the call on this one? The bull case has been building for the last 6 months, no negatives in the budget, no changes in the GST structure. You've not seen that so far, but do these numbers change the view on ITC, especially with cigarette volumes finally showing a positive trend?
No, I think it's a bullish trend, and you see the consumption is the flavor of now. So ITC being one of the leaders into it, I think the momentum has to continue. I expect around 315, 320, it can touch in a very short time.
Well, what's your reading to the volume growth? Is it because of lower base, or you think perhaps yes, the recovery is now setting up? Because expectations around 1 to 2% volume growth that actually has been reported in the results.
Yeah, it's combined of both volume growth and the kind of business models which they are moving into. Apart from tobacco business, the other businesses are doing well. So it's combined effect and plus the momentum on the consumptions. But that's the flavor now. So this will take ITC to a higher level.
So will you play on the results or a 40% discount to the FMCG multiples there? Is that discount now going to narrow down, or you think that discount is going to persist here?
I think that discount is going to narrow down. Yeah, and I expect it to do well. Another 5-7% up move is quite possible.
Right, so again, that's the take coming on ITC. And Jay, let's also talk about liquor stocks here. What's your view again? Because very high rollovers seen in the August month here. So, and again, we've seen a correction in the last almost 2-3 weeks here. So, after a correction, you are seeing a rebound. Is it actually a move to play for the range, or something is changing fundamentally for the liquor stocks in terms of raw material rates or anything in terms of on the ground sort of uncertainty being reduced? Like, what's working for them? What's buzzing for them?
No, see, the raw material prices is on decline, so that's adding, to the bottom line of most of the liquor companies. So there have been some dip in volumes. The stock has corrected. Now again, it has picked up, and I think this momentum would continue for another couple of quarters. And there are some liquor companies which are also adding to their capacity, like a small cap company called Associated Alcohol. And United Spirits is one of the companies which is also doing well. So I think the next quarter is also likely to be good, and the accumulation which has happened when the price has corrected, that will help the stocks to move higher. So I am again bullish on liquor overall as a sector.
Alright, so liquor also looking good. Amit, come in on a Biocon. Look at the surge on that one. Top gainer on the mid-cap index. 5% up in trade. It's been going through a phase of correction and consolidation for the last couple of months now. So today's move, do you see that as a one-off, or can there be a short-term trade here? And what are the next levels to watch out for?
Sure. So, the broader consolidation still continues, but the better thing is that it is towards the lower end of the consolidation. So, yes, from a trading perspective, one can expect upside from here, because it's been bouncing back from the support zones, and it could see levels of about 630 is possible for the Biocon if the first hour of move today sustains. Lot of these stocks which are news based, you need to watch out for the first hour, which is crucial. If it stays towards the top end of the range, then the chances are that the momentum is further likely to continue. Otherwise, a lot of these news based stocks, they falter beyond the first hour of the trade.
Right, and that's now actually the sanity which is coming back into Bharti Airtel stock. So again, we actually are seeing the stock not down again. Bring Idea stock here. So that's first Bharti Airtel. Let's bring the stock here from days high around 65. We have lost 10 points, where the stock is now down 1%. So from almost 2% up again, the stock is coming down. Now bring Idea stock here. Now let's see again how Idea stock is doing. So almost like Idea actually was trading around 60.5. So as Bharti Airtel started to drift down, Idea stock basically now actually is slightly coming down here. So watch out for the telecom stocks here. Some interesting trends again developing here. Amar, very quickly, what's your sort of take on the charts on Idea of Bharti Airtel? Any sort of trade opportunity which you're spotting? Because Airtel has slipped from the days high, is now down 1%.
Yeah, looking at Idea, what we are seeing is that yes, the stock definitely seems to have formed a bottom after the sell-off which we were witnessing, and the stock is now finding support. Even at the short term, I would say the daily or the weekly charts, it clearly shows positive divergence on the charts, and also the stock, the recent lows which the stock made around 50 levels. So now that should act as a very strong support. Yes, on the upside, it's going to meet with some resistance around 63, 64, because that was the earlier bounce back from where the slide happened towards 50. So that could be a level of resistance. That's the reason we are witnessing some profit booking. But the downside seems to be now limited. So the stock could now go in some consolidation till the time Idea does not trade above 64, 65 odd levels. We could see some consolidation in the stock. Talking about the other stock which you mentioned, Bharti. Looking at Bharti Airtel, what we see is that here I would say the stock is meeting with resistance. So somewhere on the upside, if I look 360, 365, that's a key level of resistance. And even if we look at it technically, compare Idea with Bharti, Idea is anytime better technically on the charts. That's the reason we are seeing this sustain in Idea. For Bharti, the level is 265 to 66, only consistently trading above 365, 370 levels. Is a stock likely to trade higher, but I would say that Bharti is comparatively weaker as compared to Idea on the charts.
All right, that's the call on the telecom pack. Lots of news there, of course, with Idea getting the nod yesterday for Vodafone merger, and of course Bharti Airtel's number. The debt servicing part of it now becomes a concern since the EBIT has fallen below the interest outgo. But Ashish, a lot of your recently recommended stocks are in fact seeing traction trade right now. So pull up a Mahindra CIE, top gainer on the Nifty 500, a 6% surge on that counter. You're seeing some positive traction for the likes of Arvind. A couple of consumption names, Nestle and Berger, also not doing too bad right now. Where is the momentum?
So a lot of these names which you have said, I think they are in a very strong structural uptrend, and that is what we have been talking, that when you buy structural uptrend stocks, what happens is that there might be days of 2, 3, 4 days of underperformance, but eventually these stocks will make a real uptrend, and I think that's a trend which we are witnessing. So look at Mahindra CI Auto. I think it's a mid cap stock. Broadly, it has been trading near its 52-week high when the entire small and mid cap saw a collapse from all-time highs to the tune of 30 to 40%. The stock was hovering around 52-week high, and I think that trend is clearly visible. We have been maintaining a target of around 300, 320 in Mahindra CI Auto, and that's a target we expected the stock to hit. On downside, I think 245 is a strong base for the stock, so keep that as an closing basis stop loss for Mahindra CI Auto. Dabur is one stock in the FMCG basket which we have been maintaining as a positive call. So I think here you are seeing a very strong base building happening, and post ITC's result, I think there will be a renewed buying interest coming back to FMCG names, and I think Dabur would be our preferred bet for an upside target of 400 kind of zone. So 365 should be kept as an trading stop loss in Dabur as well.
Right, Amar, I have a question to you, and the question here is on a couple of stocks which have been doing relatively good. Adani Transmission, again the last 2 sessions also there were good gains. Navin Fluorine, another outperformer in the last 3 sessions, so stock is almost up 4% now. Adani Transmission is roughly 3 to 4. In fact, Navin Fluorine has gained more now, 6% up. Adani Transmission again bring that stock again almost 3 to 4% up. There is a buying happening in Radico Khaitan also, almost 3% up. Exposure into liquor stock here. Somewhere any of the stocks, if you like, then what are the levels are going to be?
I would say looking at Adani Transmission, the stock definitely remains positive, and the stock, if you look at this from almost 145, 150 levels, it's currently trading around 174. So technically, I would say that this stock has formed a bottom, and the stock is short term, and from the intermediate term trend, the trend remains positive. So any pullback in this stock ideally can be a buying level. I would say a good level to enter this stocks is somewhere around 170 odd levels. Currently it's on 174 with a stop loss. If you look at the stop loss needs to be below 164 and a target of 182 on the upside. And talking about the other stocks which you mentioned in terms of Navin Fluorine, what we are seeing is that today is a very sharp day for this stock, and primarily the stock has formed a very strong support somewhere in the region of 600, 580, 600. So it seems that the slide which was there in the stock, that's over, and the stock is likely to bounce back. But again, if I look at it from a medium term perspective, on the upside close to 700, 710, that is a level where profit booking is likely to be witnessed in this stock, and the stock would initially find it difficult to trade above these levels. So that is where profit booking is likely to happen in this stock.
Right, that's the word coming here. Ashish, very quickly, any view on Godfrey Phillips? We got the results, volume growth from ITC. Yeah. Godfrey Phillips stock is up 2%. So if you like that stock, and perhaps let me add another stock here, Adani Enterprise, almost 3% up. Very volatile stock, very high beta stock. But if there is any sort of positivity on the charts.
So I would like to have a preferred bet on ITC rather than Godfrey Phillips. I think there's a structural trend being witnessed in the stock, consolidated for many months in a range between 260 to 250 to almost 285, and now a clear breakout on weekly, monthly, all chart frames. I think a move towards 320 could not be, is what we are expecting in a very short term in ITC. So I think here I would like to have a positive bias. One stock we are liking from more from a delivery perspective is HDFC Standard Life. I think this is one stock which has been forming a very strong base around 460, 450 zone, and I think going forward you might see this stock hitting the crossing the previous all-time high, which is around 550. So if you look at from these levels, easy 10 to 15% kind of upside from these levels could not be ruled out in HDFC Standard Life. So I think it's a good delivery pick where you can keep a stop around 460 for an upside target of 550, 560 zone.
Alright, so HDFC Standard Life is another counter to watch out for. Jay, a lot of traction in the pharma pack. You had Reddy's earnings, of course, that came in yesterday. A couple of concerns because there are some legal overhangs coming in for this one. What's the call on that? Biocon, very strong numbers, 47% up. Mid-cap pharma anyway has been doing well, even as large cap is a little bit.
1.5%, Lupin
Exactly.
is actually also up. So what's the view there?
I think pharma, after this consolidation and correction happening, I think it's again on the move. If you leave Dr. Reddy's, which had its own issues, if you see Biocon, if you see Lupin, if you see mid-cap companies like Granules India, I think they all have started moving up. And a weaker rupee is further going to help these companies because most of their revenues also come through exports. So I think the consolidation which happened for almost a month, that seems to be over, and I think some value buying is again coming. Biocon, for example, if you see the stock has corrected almost 100 rupees from 640 to 540. Now with this positive result coming in, I think the momentum has been set, and I expect the stock to trade above 625, 630 in a very short time.
Let me take that view on a chart also, Amar. What's the view on Glenmark and Biocon both? As Jay was just talking about, positive view there. Today the stock is up almost 6%. So what are the charts telling you for both Biocon, Glenmark, and if there's any view on Lupin?
Yeah, first talking about Biocon definitely is very strong on the long-term charts. So what we witnessed was that Biocon witnessed some selling pressure, and from almost 700 levels it came down to as low as 540, which was technically a very strong support zone. So what we witnessed in Biocon is that a lot of those who are interested or those who are aware that these are going to be very crucial support zones, they went into buying, and I would say that that's one of the reasons the stock has bounced back. And if I look at the stock on the weekly chart, I would say upside seems to be capped right now. So on the upside, I would say somewhere around 630, 650 on the upside seems to be the resistance zone, but that's a decent return from the lows which it made recently. So since the long-term trend being up, yes, buying opportunities on dips should be used, but one should remember that the intermediate term being sideways as it is, upside 630, 650 should act as a very strong resistance zone. Talking about the next stock which you mentioned, Glenmark. If I look at Glenmark Pharma, what we are witnessing here is that Glenmark Pharma is, I would say, from a short-term and intermediate-term perspective, it is forming a base. Because from a long-term perspective, it was still in a sell mode from almost, if you see, from more than 800 levels, it came down to as low as somewhere around 440. So it is bouncing back, and I would say that, yes, it is showing some signs of upside, but technically if I look at it somewhere around 590, 600, that should act as a resistance. So those who are interested, they can buy. The stop loss ideally for this should be below 558 levels, and the target on the upside can be 590, 600. 590 to 610 is the level to watch out for Glenmark on the upside, because that's a key resistance zone, and even since it's not very strong on the long-term charts, so it is going to meet with selling pressure at high levels.
Amit, before we wind up, any other trading calls, anything else that you've spotted in the first 20 minutes of trade?
Sure. So Canfin Home is an idea which we are really bullish on. We just recently came up with a report on it. It has run up a bit, but I think still there's a lot of room on the upside. I think the worst for the stock is over. It should get back to its larger trend, which is on the upside. The last 1 year of consolidation correction is done with for the stock. What we expect the stock is to head towards the levels of 420, 425. So even from these levels, there's a lot of upside for the stock. So Canfin Home is a pick from our side.
Alright, so Canfin Homes, a lot of pharma names, of course, ITC and Hindalco are leading the charts right now. That's where the traction is at the moment. It is a 650 point rally in 1 month on the Nifty. We had bottomed out at 10,589 odd exactly a month ago, and since then it's a one-way surge that you've had on the index. Just pull up a 1 month chart because you are now picking up momentum once again, opening strong and building on those gains. So there you go, almost a 600 point gain over there, 6% up on the Nifty in the last 1 month or so, and looks like this trend will continue for a while. 11,500 on a broader range seems to be the next resistance right now, especially the move from 11,000 to about 11,200 was a little staggered, but from there you've been moving very, very firmly. We'll take a very quick break here. We'll come back and connect with the management of Dr. Reddy's. Jay, Amar and Amit, thanks so much for joining in this morning and running us through your reading of the markets. Management of Dr. Reddy's coming up next, and of course also connect with Kosto Pavaskar to discuss those stellar ITC numbers and what the view is on the stock going forward from here. Up 3% of trade right now.